Hey everybody, welcome. Today is October the 28th, and this is today's Pulse update. For those that have been following along, you'll know that we've been working on reports and different things, and I think we have almost all of them done. We've got a little bit of hang up with some of the small things that we're finishing for a quarterly report for somebody, but it's going to be great, and so we're excited to get that done. You'll notice that we're doing a lot of reports, right? That's part of what we do, right? The Pulse process, while we do a bunch of it using software, there's still a manual process that we go through here. And that includes some consulting and just helping people get things set up, but also helping people get the type of data that they need to meet whatever reporting requirements they have. And so we do some of these manually, including our peer-to-peer benchmarking, where we compare them against their peers inside of the system. We are building that out automatically. That's something that will be coming. But for now, we do it on basically pen and paper. Not really pen and paper, but you get it. We do it manually to be able to try and make sure we know what we're doing here and how to really build this up and make it something that works for everybody. And then the more we do it, the more we understand what works, and then we'll be able to make it more into an automated process. And so that's what we're doing when we're talking about reports. Kind of a boring explanation, but it is what it is. Yesterday we had great meetings. We met with Colorado Health, which is a kind of a healthcare plan there, and talked about potentially a pilot, and we're excited about potentially partnering with them to put it in some of their providers. I love how they said, like, hey, look, we don't know if our members will be the only ones using this, but if it can make the practices better, it is better for our members. And I love that mentality. It's so smart to be able to say, like, look, instead of just saying we can't do this because it's not investing particularly in the people we serve, if they know that the people they serve are part of this group and we can make everything better for the larger group, let's make everything better for the group, and it makes better things for our members. So smart, so intelligent. I'm really hoping we get to do a pilot. We'll see what comes of it. We also spent a lot of time yesterday looking at the perfect demo. For those of you who've been following along, we've been talking about the perfect demo for forever. I literally have this big old paper written down with ideas, thoughts, phrases. Something I really hit on yesterday was the fact that feedback gets stale. I put together a random kind of picture of with some milk and just asked the question, like, what's older, your feedback or your milk in the fridge? Because that's honestly probably about where some of that stuff becomes perishable. You gather feedback. A lot of times organizations gather feedback once a year. But this feedback that's being gathered just once a year, as soon as you implement a new policy, a new practice, a new procedure, get new staff, the world changes, COVID, right? Like, any of these things happen. And as soon as you do all of those things, that feedback is stale. Now, it's not to say the feedback is not valuable. Right? That feedback can still be valuable, and particularly in an aggregate, and particularly for benchmarking over time. But if you're relying on year-old, month-old feedback, and you're implementing changes, that feedback gets really, really stale. And unfortunately, what we see a lot of times with organizations is they don't just rely on year-old feedback, although that happens. More often what they do is they rely on the expertise of somebody that had previously been there, in kind of in the position of the vulnerable groups that we're working with. And so I would think about this as like imagining it as a fast food restaurant, asking somebody that ate there 5 years ago religiously to continually give them feedback about right now, but those people are no longer eating at the restaurant. And so any changes they make, the feedback on it is really hard to make. And it's not that there's not value in there. There's definitely value in that consulting. There's value in those people's experience and opinion. But there's a difference between lived experience and living experience. Lived has happened, and there's value in understanding what's happened, what worked, and that expertise. But it also, there's value in living experience, the people that are right now working on things. And actually just reminded me of something I need to write down, and that's the accidental bias that comes from the lived versus living experience. What happens is you get feedback from people that have only ever successfully navigated the system. What about the feedback from those that haven't, that are still experiencing whatever it is, and therefore probably are not serving on boards or whatever? That accidental bias matters, and it affects so many organizations. Sorry, I got off on a tangent. Today we're working on the website. We updated the website about 1.5 years ago. Really haven't made too many changes since. And we're realizing that our story's evolved and we need to update it and make some changes. And so we'll be looking at competitors' websites. We'll be looking at others. We will be putting together probably just some ideas And then Wes and Ty will take a look at it and probably put together some designs, and then we'll get something built out, and then we'll test it. And we'll see if people can answer the questions that we want to have answered. And so one of the big things today I'm hoping to get done is figure out what questions do we actually want the website to answer. And then from there, hopefully work through them. Anyways, this has been today's Pulse update. Kind of long and rambling, but that's just who we are. We are long-winded, and we'll talk a lot about what we're passionate about, and we're passionate about people getting good feedback. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for making this part of your day. Please check out our other videos, and have a great Thursday. We don't know if we'll have one here on Friday, as we've got other stuff going on, so probably check with us on Monday.